Blake Lively tried to blackmail Taylor Swift.
Blake Lively has sealed her fate now since turning on the most famous person on the planet, Taylor Swift. Imagine waking up one day to discover that your closest confidant, someone you've shared years of secrets and successes with, has suddenly become your fiercest adversary. This is the nightmare scenario unfolding between Blake Lively and Taylor Swift, two iconic figures whose friendship once lit up red carpets and headlines alike. But beneath the glamorous veneer was a simmering conflict, hidden from the public eye. Until now. The bombshell revelation came when Taylor Swift's legal team filed an emergency motion revealing that Blake Lively allegedly tried to blackmail Taylor, threatening to leak a trove of private text messages spanning more than a decade. These weren't just casual chats. They contained intimate, sometimes vulnerable conversations, moments that could irreparably damage Taylor's personal and professional life if exposed. Blake demanded public support in a growing legal battle surrounding a recent film project. If Taylor didn't comply, Blake promised the texts would be made public. Fans were left reeling, caught between disbelief and betrayal. How could two women who once called each other sisters descend into such a bitter public clash? The story quickly spiraled beyond a simple legal dispute, exposing the fragile nature of trust, fame, and power in the age of social media, and the high cost of friendship in Hollywood's ruthless spotlight. Inside the cold, echoing walls of the courtroom, the once poised and composed Blake Lively began to unravel. Witnesses described her behavior as unpredictable and fractured as she struggled to maintain control amid mounting evidence against her. At times, Blake's voice cracked with emotion. Tears streamed down her face as she attempted to justify her actions. Her legal team painted her as a woman pushed to the brink by betrayal, a victim trying to protect her own legacy. But the judge and jury were unimpressed. Blake's emotional outbursts appeared more calculated than genuine, a strategic performance to sway public sympathy. Several explosive moments punctuated the trial. During a cross-examination, Blake suddenly accused Taylor of orchestrating the entire legal spectacle to destroy her. In response, Taylor's attorneys presented irrefutable proof of Blake's attempts to manipulate witnesses and fabricate evidence, turning the tide decisively against Blake. The courtroom drama was no longer about contracts and film credits. It was about loyalty, betrayal, and the terrifying consequences of a friendship shattered beyond repair. At the heart of the conflict lay a deceptively simple question: how involved was Taylor Swift in Blake Lively's latest film project? Blake's camp repeatedly claimed that Taylor had played a critical role in creative decisions, contributing to script revisions, casting, and even directing certain scenes. They argued this justified Blake's demand for Taylor's public endorsement. During the ensuing legal dispute, but Taylor's representatives produced emails and signed agreements proving otherwise. Taylor's involvement was limited to licensing one of her songs for the soundtrack. No input on the storyline, production, or marketing. The inflation of Taylor's role was a carefully crafted narrative designed to pressure her into allegiance. It manipulated the blurred lines between celebrity friendship and business, weaponizing public perception to intimidate Taylor into compliance. This exaggeration added complexity to the legal battle, transforming it from a personal dispute into a high-stakes clash over reputation, rights, and control. Behind closed doors, the tension between Blake and Taylor escalated rapidly. According to court testimony, Blake's attorneys sent a stark ultimatum: publicly support Blake's claims or face the consequences of private text messages being leaked to the media. The threat was clear: intimidate Taylor into submission or destroy her with secrets only a close friend would know. Yet, Taylor did something unexpected. She chose silence. Rather than fueling the fire with a public response, Taylor remained steadfastly quiet. She did not issue press releases, engage on social media, or take the bait of public drama. Instead, she trusted the legal process to unveil the truth. This silence unnerved Blake's team, who anticipated a public battle of words. Taylor's refusal to engage shifted the narrative, painting her as the measured, dignified party while Blake appeared increasingly desperate. In a world dominated by viral soundbites and scandal-driven headlines, Taylor's silence became a powerful weapon, one that spoke louder than any statement could. Among the countless messages exchanged between Blake and Taylor over the years, one text became a centerpiece in court. The Dragons text. Blake had written to Taylor, "You are one of my dragons, fierce and loyal, always fighting for those you care about." The metaphor, rich with imagery, evoked a fantasy realm where dragons symbolize protectors and warriors, bound by unbreakable loyalty. But the text took on a darker meaning in the legal battle. Prosecutors argued the message was not just affectionate, but a veiled expectation. Taylor was supposed to publicly defend Blake at all costs. This dragon pact implied a binding loyalty that transcended truth and personal conviction. Taylor's defense countered that loyalty does not mean blind obedience or sacrificing integrity. The message revealed the emotional complexity of their friendship, love intertwined with pressure and obligation. This single line became emblematic of the tension between personal bonds and public personas, a symbolic fault line in their fractured relationship. Taylor's attorneys moved aggressively to dismantle Blake's claims, treating the case like a high-stakes chess match. They meticulously debunked the inflated narratives, submitting clear evidence proving Taylor's minimal involvement in the film. They highlighted discrepancies in Blake's testimonies and exposed inconsistencies in witness accounts. In court filings, Taylor's legal team accused Blake of weaponizing friendship to manipulate public opinion and manufacturing false narratives to deflect blame. The judge, growing weary of theatrics, issued stern warnings against sensationalism. Courtroom observers noted a palpable shift in momentum as the focus moved from gossip to facts. Taylor's team presented her as a principled artist caught in a maelstrom, someone who refused to be coerced, who stood firm in her values despite immense pressure. Their strategy worked, reshaping the story from a tabloid feud into a fight for truth and justice. As the case deepened, new and more serious allegations emerged. Several affidavits accused Blake of attempting to influence key witnesses, urging them to delete text messages and alter testimonies. One witness described being pressured in a tense meeting at Blake's home, with veiled threats implying that non-compliance would end careers. This accusation rocked the case, raising the stakes beyond simple contractual disputes into potential criminal territory. For Taylor, these allegations vindicated her choice to remain silent and trust the legal system. For Blake, they represented a dangerous escalation that could lead to sanctions, fines, or even criminal charges. The courtroom drama now involved not just reputations, but the very integrity of the justice process itself. In a stunning twist, a high-ranking Sony Pictures executive broke confidentiality to reveal a secret meeting hosted by Blake at her penthouse, months before the dispute exploded publicly. According to the executive's sworn statement, the meeting was less about business and more about power plays. Blake allegedly used Taylor's name as leverage, hinting at her involvement to impress and intimidate other industry players. The executive described the atmosphere as tense, calculated, and unsettling, with Blake orchestrating an image of control and influence that masked growing desperation. This revelation sent shockwaves through Hollywood, implicating major players and raising uncomfortable questions about celebrity influence, corporate politics, and manipulation behind closed doors. The judge presiding over the case grew increasingly frustrated with what she described as a manufactured spectacle. In a blistering rebuke, the judge accused Blake's lawyers of abusing the legal system to create media drama and warned that the courtroom is not a stage for celebrity feuds. She praised Taylor's legal team for their professionalism and urged all parties to focus on evidence rather than theatrics. The judge's remarks sent a clear message: the court would not tolerate attempts to exploit the process for publicity or vendettas. The sharp contrast between Blake's emotional outbursts and Taylor's calm, methodical approach crystallized in the judge's words, reinforcing the notion that truth and decorum ultimately prevail. As the dust begins to settle, Blake Lively faces a perilous road ahead. Legal experts speculate that upcoming hearings could reveal even more damaging information, potentially ending her career as she knows it. Meanwhile, Taylor Swift, once a reluctant participant, appears poised to reclaim control over the narrative. Insiders say she is preparing a major public statement, signaling an end to her silence and a declaration of her truth. The saga has captivated fans, media, and industry insiders alike, serving as a cautionary tale about friendship, fame, and the ruthless power dynamics in Hollywood. But this story is far from over. New witnesses are expected to come forward, fresh documents could surface, and with social media amplifying every twist, the fallout promises to echo for years to come.